In this YouTube video and in this brand new series, we're going to be allowing business owners and sales reps as well to reach out to us to get specific questions asked with things that they're struggling with in their day-to-day. It could be anything relating to scaling your business team, getting peak performance from your sales team, how to recruit. If you're a sales rep, specific bits and pieces that's happening in the sales call. It might be discovery, it might be an objection, whatever it may be. Now, this question that we're going to be covering today, I hear this a hell of a lot, so it didn't surprise me too much that it was one of the first questions that we was actually asked, and it was specifically about dealing with type A personalities. So when you're speaking to those kind of sales calls, when they're quite direct, they might be successful business owners, entrepreneurs, whatever it may be, that just kind of want to get to the point, and specifically the question that you get, just give me the price. So we're going to get into that into much detail throughout this video. If you're a business owner and you want a question featured, you need any extra help or support, or if you're a salesperson that need exactly the same, in the description there's going to be a link where you can apply to have your question answered, and we'll do a whole video dedicated to your question, whatever it is you need any extra help or support with. So use that link in the description and let's get stuck into the video. So the first thing we need to address when we're speaking to type A personalities is A, you cannot get scared of it. It is a good thing. So when you're on sales calls, you've got two different types of sales. You've got an away from motivation, you've also got a towards motivation. People that have been following me for a little while, watching a lot of my content, you'll know that I talk about this a hell of a lot. It's a better way of actually looking at it rather than B2C versus B2B, because they can conflict. But when you get away from motivators, and to give you a bit of an example, some of the types of people that you're going to be speaking to, or people that would fall into that bracket, a lot of weight loss opportunities, a lot of sales coaching and stuff out there teach people based on their actual sales coaching. A lot of guys that are looking for sales coaching are not doing very well in sales at the moment, so they're looking to get away from debt and actually earn some serious money. So they're away from motivators. When you speak to those guys, their pain becomes really, really obvious really quickly. I've got no money, I'm really overweight, I've got a wedding coming up. You can kind of work off of that, and it's a lot more obvious. So it's a lot easier now, but one of the problems that you tend to have is when you get to the close, financially there's a little bit of an issue, not all the time, but particularly like for sales guys, stuff like that, people that haven't got any money, when you're trying to close them for a high ticket product, that becomes a problem. So it's easy now, hard later. The reason I love speaking to type A personalities, successful people, because they've got money. That isn't the objection. One of the most stickiest things that you're going to come across is not really going to be a thing. The only time they're going to tell you it's too expensive, they don't see enough value, or they don't see how they're going to get a return on investment. So I'd much rather to be speaking to that type of personality anyway, then it's just managing it and handling it. Again, that mantra of that means it is a bit more difficult now, because finding that pain, which might not necessarily be so obvious, is a bit more difficult, but it becomes a hell of a lot easier later, because once you have found that out, you've showcased how you're going to help them fix that and how you can help them get a return on investment. It makes that close a hell of a lot easier and a little bit more seamless. They're just going to kind of fall into your program, your service, solution, whatever it is you're selling. Now, one of the biggest problems that sales reps seem to have when they're speaking to these types of personalities is they can piss them off quite easy, particularly us Brits. We're not the most open in a lot of, I mean, some people are, but if you're comparing that to selling into the US, which take a little bit more of accountability, they're just a little bit more open and more happier talking about money than we are over here in the UK, which is a little bit more guarded naturally. So it's a little bit of a culture shock, particularly for sales reps that are selling in the UK that are used to America. Now, again, I prefer that. I prefer to speak to people that are a little bit more direct. But what tends to happen is you'll be digging for pain that doesn't exist. You're asking lots of questions, you're going round and round in circles, and the discovery can sound a little bit manipulative. Again, type A personalities, they've probably sold before in the past, they know what you're doing and it becomes obvious, it feels like a sales call, they lose interest really quickly and they're like, look mate, just give me the price, all right? Let's get to the meat and bones of it. And that's where you start getting that objection. So what we need to do is A, stop digging so hard for the pain, But B, be very, very like active listening to the best of your ability, because they will drip feed pain and problems. So if you think of it, and away from motivation, we need to find out what they're trying to get away from. Towards motivation, they're trying to get towards something. So what are they trying to get towards is going to be the first thing. We need to find out what the outcome is, what the goal is. Remember, it doesn't matter what you're selling. You're not selling your product, your solution. You are selling change. And that's the important thing for them. They don't want to buy your shit. They don't want to buy anything from you, but they want the outcome that can come off the back of it. So they understand that there's a trade-off. I need to pay you money to get the result that I'm looking for. So we find out what that result is that they're looking for. What does change look like for them? Then we can go back to the present. Now we've gone from the future. This is what it looks like. Let's come back to the present now and find out what's happening because they're not there. That's where pain will live. And it could be a multitude of different things. If you're selling marketing services, for example, the chances are, if you're targeting the right businesses, without your help, they're probably not going to be going out of business next week. So it's hardly an away from motivation. It's definitely a towards. So they've got a goal specific to what they're looking to achieve. Your job is to find out the headaches trying to achieve it. They might be spending a shitload on marketing that's not really working. They might be getting a high churn of their sales team because they can't necessarily get the right numbers in there, so their sales team aren't earning a huge amount of money. They might be bringing in the wrong types of clients, which is causing headaches further down the line. This is your pain. This is and then what's happened as a result of that? Asking questions like, can you tell me a little bit more about that, please? That's where we're going to find out where the actual pain lives. Now, key things to remember. Pain lives in these subsections, if you like. It's income and finance is one. The next one is going to be stress stroke health. Then you're going to have relationships. You're going to have time and missed opportunities. You're going to have ego is a big one in there as well. Now, pain is not necessarily just going to naturally fall into one of those, but it might be in multiple sections of that. But when you understand that, you'll get a bit of an idea that, okay, I'm getting onto something now. I'm understanding the pain. They're talking about finance. They're talking about time or missed opportunities, stress, not being able to train in the gym, whatever it may be. It might be an ego thing. It might be that they're not really getting the acknowledgement where they are now and they're not fulfilling their potential. They might know someone who's absolutely killing it and they want a piece of that. So we can kind of get an idea what their hot button is, as I call it, and then we now know what that is. We can elaborate more on that. We don't need to go digging for them to tell you that their life's a mess and life's going to end if they don't buy your thing by the end of this call. We're not looking for that. And when we do go digging for it, it becomes obvious. You just end up asking the same questions over and over again, and all you do is piss them off. So key things to remember here is logic unlocks emotion. They will slip up. They will give you some sort of emotional trigger when you're asking logical based questions. Now, another thing to remember here is we need to be mirroring their energy. So if you've got someone being rude, I'm not saying be rude to them, but if you've got somebody who is very, very direct, if you're naturally asking fluffy, soft, emotionally driven questions, they're not going to respond well. They just literally won't. So if you're asking somebody like myself, who's quite a direct person, how does that make you feel? I'm going to be like, mate, I feel fine, fuck off. It's just going to annoy me a little bit. But if you reframe that question a little bit more direct, so I can see it's giving you a bit of a headache not being able to fix this. So if you don't get this done, what's going to happen? What's going to be the outcome off the back of it? Tonality shifts, it matches their tonality. The energy, the way you ask a question is what resonates with them. And resonating with them is big because it builds lots and lots of rapport. So another thing you need to think about, I'm giving you lots of another things here, by the way, so apologies in advance. But another thing you need to think about here is proprietary language. When you use proprietary language, you become one of us. You build lots and lots of rapport. So a good example of this, I was up north the other day and I cannot remember for the life of me what they called it, but I was looking at one of the chip shop billboards. I'm from the southeast of England, we call it a chip butty, and they called it something crazy. I don't know what it was. And I was like, what the hell is that? But if you use that terminology out of town, someone would go, aha, you're from my area, you're one of us, you're one of me. And automatically there's a form of rapport. So if you're speaking to business owners, for example, use business owner language, because they will identify with it. That will build rapport, that little trigger in their head. Aha, he's one of us. And slowly but surely they'll start to open up. Then one of the key things to do after that is when you take them into your pitch, what I call bridge the gap. We've got discoveries, find the gap. Your pitch part is showcasing your solution, is bridge the gap, then you move into the close. But when you get into bridge the gap, you can then showcase how you're gonna fix those pains and problems. Because again, type A personalities, most of the time, they've taken some form of risk, they've invested in themselves. The reason they've got to a level of success isn't just by playing it safe all the time. So they've got themselves there for a certain reason, right? So with those guys, if you can then showcase how they're going to get a return on investment, they respond very, very well to it. And this is what they want to see, right? They want to see, can you understand what's going on? Can you actually understand my main reason for change? Can you fix that? And can you give me a return on investment? A return on investment isn't always financial. It might be a time thing. It might be anything in those pain triggers. But if you can give me a return on investment, i.e. can you fix this for me in a specific period of time or get me better than what I want in terms of results, I will probably buy it. So what a lot of sales reps tend to do is they tend to overdo it in discovery. But really what they can do is they can take that energy and their learnings and move that into bridge the gap. So when they're showcasing how their thing fixes their thing, so if you're a marketing agency that these guys are not getting driven targeted leads and they're getting lots of the wrong leads or whatever, when you showcase how you're going to help them solve that, you can then relay it back to their pain. So you can say, can you see by at the moment you're getting lots and lots of scattered leads and not very targeted, so you're wasting a ton of time and a ton of money speaking to the wrong people. Can you see by us doing this, this and this and this, it's going to mean that you're actually only spending time with the right type of audience and the right type of people? Yes. And can you see how that's going to make that thing a lot easier? Yes. Okay, great. It gets them to cement, showcase that this is great, this is going to work for me, I understand how this is working for me, but it's also still talking about those pain points, keeping them in state rather than just pitching and telling them all of the features and stuff that you can offer. Sales reps have a habit, and I don't know if this is down to like modern day coaching, which I think has something to do with it. I hear lots and lots of coaches talking about online trying to make the person you're speaking to take accountability for being where they are at the moment, which can work if you're speaking to somebody who's been thinking about changing for the best part of 3 years, they've never really done anything and they're just being really flimsy. Like, yeah, that person needs to take a bit of accountability. The fact that they've not made a change, that's why they are where they are. A lot of the times you're talking to people that have made changes, they've taken accountability, they might have taken the wrong steps, but when you're trying to pin it on them to say like, oh, it's my fault, it's completely my fault, I am where I am, it just becomes manipulative. They hate it. They're not going to take it very well. Unfortunately, I do tend to hear quite a lot of role plays and lots of sales reps going down this route, and I just don't like it. It doesn't work, particularly over here in the UK, and particularly for that type of audience. It will work if you have got that type of personality that's not making changes and they're not really invested in themselves, or they're just waiting for somebody to come and save them, because you will get those types of people, but they don't really exist in the type A world. So you might have come across one or two of them, but we do not want to be making that common practice on your sales calls, because again, you're going to piss them off. Now, the final part of the call, you're getting into the close part here. The main thing to be thinking about is go for the bloody close. So these guys, again, we don't want to be waiting around, because it'll show a level of weakness. Like, these guys, they're leaders, they need to be led as well, right? So when we get to the end of the sales call, don't just handle objections and answer questions until they say, amazing, here's my credit card. Obviously, you're not going to do that. We need to close. So we need to have an element of a close line or a call to action in there. Otherwise, they're just not going to buy and you're going to end up losing them. So have a call to action prepared. Have your objection handles sharp at this stage. Brought up on Jordan Belfort, OG, shout out to Jordan Belfort. Sharp as attack, enthusiastic as hell, and a force to be reckoned with. I mean, a lot of sales training does become a little bit outdated over time, but those principles are never going to be outdated. Sharp as attack, enthusiastic as hell, and a force to be reckoned with. If you can showcase those three traits, and very, very important at that close stage, you'll get deals over the line nice and easy. But again, you're not putting yourself under that person's level. If you're literally asking for an order and you're asking to close with conviction, with confidence, that's exactly what they want to see. When you start to show a little bit of weakness, or you don't necessarily lead them at that stage, all of that good work you've done is just completely vanished. It's just gone. Key things to remember, and key mistakes that your sales team are probably making, or if you're a salesperson yourself is probably making, and this is the biggest one. I won't go back over everything we've gone over on the video, but the biggest one is to stop looking for pain that doesn't exist. Really listen to what they're saying, because they will be giving you triggers. Those logical based questions that you're asking will drip feed emotion. Then you can ask a few questions. Can you just tell me a little bit more about that? You mentioned this word specifically, like they might have said struggling. You mentioned struggling specifically. What do you mean by that? Use that kind of terminology. They will dig deeper. They'll open themselves up, and you'll find as you go through the sales call, you'll just get into a decent conversation with them, you'll resonate with them, you'll become one of their people, you'll have that rapport, and it just becomes a lot easier for the back end of the call. I hope you found this video super valuable. Remember, if you do have any questions, or if you have anything that you think would be a good subject, or a question that you think would be really helpful to get answered on a video just like this, use the link in the description, follow the instructions, and then we'll try and get round to that video as soon as possible. In the meantime, if you're a business that's looking to hire an agency to kind of take all of these headaches and stresses off your hand and make sure that your sales team are performing, maybe bring in killer sales reps, setters, closers on a commission-only basis, there'll be a link in the description as well where you can book a call in with our team, and we can offer a demo and showcase how we've helped multitude of different businesses just this year alone to scale up their sales team. But for now, maybe you might want to watch this video because that's what YouTube is suggesting. See you in the next one.